Acting like y'all can't have it. God has been so good. He's been better to us and ourselves. And for that I am grateful. The gospel recorded by Matthew. I want to read from chapter 14, Matthew 14. We've already had a grand time today. This is a lecture. Verse 13, the ESV version reads, "Now when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a desolate place by himself. But when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the towns." Jesus was away and he was getting some rest. But wherever Jesus was, people wanted to be. Nowadays, people don't want to be where he is. That's why they're comfortable and not coming here each week. And so as crowds heard of him, they gathered to where Jesus was. But the disciples told Jesus that there was a great crowd. They were hungry and he was moved with compassion. Verse 14, and now verse 15. Now when the evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a desolate place, and the day is now over. It's too late to feed them. Send the crowds away into the village to buy food for themselves." Let them buy their own food, he said. Verse 16, but Jesus said, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." They said to him, "We have only loaves, 2 small fish." And he said, "Bring them here to me." He said, "Bring them here to me." I want to tag this text, faith to follow.
All right.
Thank you, Usher. Amen. Let's give the Lord a hand of praise. I want to openly say that there are those who are working over in the dining hall, and wanted our finance team to go with us. Amen. And I gave the finance team permission to, some of them have vacated, because we want everybody who can to go and eat together today. Amen. Amen. The story is told of a store owner who was admiring the behavior of a little lad. He was admiring the little lad's behavior, and he kept paying the little boy attention who was shopping in the store with his mother. And he then stated that he is shopping with his mother and he's a mannerable child. So by this time, the mother is done with her shopping and she makes her way to the register to pay for the items she collected. The little child stands there, as any child will do, and he stares at a candy jar which sits on the counter by the register. As the child stares at the candy jar, the owner, admiring his behavior, looked down at the lad and said to him, "You can get what you want." The child was hesitant to stick his hand in the candy bowl. The child did not move, but he looked in amazement, eyes saying, "Thank you," but he still didn't move. The child didn't move. The little child heard the man and gave him a very passionate look. The child looked at his hands. Then the child looked at the owner's hand. The owner said, "Young man, I told you to stick your hand in this candy bowl and get out as much as you can." The child's eyes opened even the more in gladness, but he still didn't move. The child looked at the owner, and by that time the owner put his hand in the candy bowl. One of the owner's hand was bigger than both the little child's hands. By the time they got outside, the little child was dropping candy he had received so much. His mother looked down at him and said to him, "Why didn't you just stand there and gaze?" He said to his mother, "Ma'am, with all due respect, I weighed my options." He said the owner's hand was bigger than mine. And aren't you glad this morning that no matter what your dilemma may be, God's hand is bigger than mine? I don't know who I'm talking to this morning, but somebody may be going through some stuff. And you need to understand that if you don't know anything else, that you have a God who's on your side. That you can put things in his hand. Here we are today, sisters and brothers. We will discover that life is filled with rough spots. And since life is filled with rough spots, you need to learn who to take your problems to. And if ever we're going to please God, the only thing that we have that God is impressed with is the faith that we have in him. God is not impressed with how much money you give to him in a tithe, because you owe him that. Matter of fact, the earth is his and the fullness thereof. So you don't impress God when you do that. But what impresses God is when God sees one of his children going through great turmoil, and they don't lose focus on who he is while they're in their fight. If you ever want to make Jesus smile, let him see you in a battle, but going through a battle with great joy. I said, if you ever want to impress heaven, let him see you going through a battle with great joy. Our text this morning, there is a great deal of people, 5,000 men.
Yes, sir.
This is the only miracle that is recorded, and all four gospels.
All right.
Well,
They read a little different,
yes, sir.
but in its entirety, people have assumed and concentrated and mispreached the text.
All right. Teach us.
Because many have made the same mistake as I and others, have focused so much on the fact that he fed 5,000 that they forgot about what the text is all about. It's not about just feeding 5,000. Because Jesus fed more than that.
That's right.
In the Old Testament. See, whenever Jesus is here and mentioned in the Old Testament, that is called a theophany. The theophany of the Old Testament was, see, he didn't just start being a God of food. Because if he was just a food God, the same thing he did for Israel in the wilderness, he could have did it for them in the New Testament. When they were hungry in the Old Testament, he called and it rained down bread from heaven. If it was just about food, he could have kept going where he was going and could have called God, and manna would have fell in the New Testament as it did in the Old Testament. So in the New Testament, this episode is not about feeding 5,000, but it's the faith that he was developing in the 12. Why don't somebody get a key or something and go turn that unit off? It's too cold in here. I just said turn the units off and nobody knows what happens. So it's about feeding. It's not about feeding, but it is about the faith of those who are following. Your faith will be tested. Stop thinking that when you become saved, all of your troubles will end. When you become saved, some of your struggle is just beginning. Let me say that they're following Jesus. And as the synoptic gospel unfolds and makes it clear, Jesus is seeking privacy. But the disciples have just returned from preaching. And as the disciples have just returned from preaching, Jesus is getting away with his disciples, but a crowd gathers. And as the crowd gathers, sisters and brothers, Jesus says to Philip, his follower, I believe you caught it. Jesus said, see, don't let your familiarity with this text confuse you of the revelation that's in it today. Jesus says, Matthew doesn't specify who the first disciple is that he talked to, but John says that it was Philip who Jesus talks to, and Jesus says to Philip, from whence shall we buy bread to feed so many? Philip makes a mistake because he tried to answer Jesus with fact. And Jesus said, don't answer me with fact, respond to me in faith. Is that the reason you're going through what you're going through this morning? It's because you keep seeing things factual and actual, when Jesus says, I need you to think beyond what you can see and know that I'm able to reach beyond whatever break you may have in your life and cause you to keep going. Is anybody here this morning, you know that if you're going to impress God, you got to stop walking by sight and start walking by faith? Don't you know you can get more done with faith than you can with fact? It's a fact sometimes you have more bills than you have money, but don't God keep on providing for you and keep making ways out of no way? When you turn it over to Jesus, he's able to work out every situation. If you stop looking from whence shall we buy bread to feed this many? He must didn't know who he was talking to. This ain't Jesus' first rodeo. Fed the children of Israel in the wilderness.
Yes.
Then he went to a wedding feast at Cana of Galilee when all the wine ran out.
Yes.
He's a God that's used to giving supply. And what I like about him, he don't use any effort to do what he do. He just do what he do because he's God. And sisters and brothers, can I share something with you? The same miracle worker of this text is the same miracle worker of this day. I know many people are being controlled about what's happening in the White House, worried about if Donald Trump will be impeached. Well, I know somebody that Trump can't trump. I wish you had helping with me. See, only what you do for Christ will last. I've got a Savior that Christ can't even trump. I've been leaning on him a long time, and I want to serve notice on you this morning that whatever you're dealing with during this holiday season, the Trump that we got can override the Trump that they got. Talk about making America great again. It's always been a great America because we've always served a great God. Philip, where shall we buy bread that these made? Philip says to Jesus, John records that Philip says to Jesus, he tried to account the cost. He said to Jesus, 200 penny worth in the treasury is not enough to feed these many people. See, if y'all put the phone down, you won't be worried about it going on. Philip made the mistake of many others as it relates to Jesus. He thinks only in terms, pay me attention, of immediate reality.
All right.
Let me make it clear. Philip thinks in terms only of immediate reality, and he's thinking of immediate reality, but his immediate reality also serves notice that the resources that he's relying on are limited. And here's the mistake he makes. He calculates accordingly. I believe you caught what I said. No, you didn't call. You didn't say nothing. He assesses what he sees. And he says 200 denarii, 200 pennies worth.
Well.
He really says it this way: a year's worth of wages won't feed this many people. Because see, it is more than 5,000.
That's right. That's right.
It is just 5,000 men. Don't tell nobody that told. But wherever you put a female and a male, you're going to have some juniors and some juniorettes. Female horse and a male horse, you're going to be some female dog and male dog, be some rude. Female, just everything you put together, it's going to happen. I try to make sure you still walk. People get to church and get super saved. Now you got children, you sure didn't get them just looking at their dad. You know you're my baby dad. Damn, thought don't happen that way. Only person got pregnant without sex was Mary. She was the mother of Jesus. And she was impregnated by the Holy Ghost. That ain't happening no more. Your baby got a daddy whether you know who the daddy is or not. get involved in a situation, don't calculate according to what you see. Because the Apostle Paul says in 2 Corinthians 5 and 7, for we walk by faith, and not by sight. Here is what bothers me in the text. The sentiment of the disciples. 5,000 men are hungry, not to mention the women and the children. The disciples sound like people today. They see the need, but give the wrong assessment. It's already evening. And he says to Jesus, the disciples say to him, you ought to send them away.
Well,
how many people have you sent away? Your blessing is not attached to how many you sent away, but your blessing is attached to how many you serve. How comfortable are you as a Christian and you keep sending people away? How many people have you walked by in the supermarket and didn't ask you for nothing but a quarter? But you sent them. How many people have stood on the corner and you had extra and you wouldn't give them $1? Because you assessed what you saw. And you said they can get a job just like I can. But if it was that easy, they would have it. See, don't be so quick to look down on somebody who you think is lower than you, because truthfully, we are on the same level. You keep sending people away and you're wondering why you can't move up any higher than where you're going. Because it is possible that you sent away your elevation. Because you got to be careful of who and how you entertain people that you don't know. Because the person that you dismiss may be the person that got your next miracle in their pocket. Sometimes God will send an assignment just to see if you're going to pass that next test. Are you passing your test? Disciples, follow Christ. Or did Christ send the hungry people enough? But you know what? The disciples of this text. I'm going to bust you again right quick. The disciples of the text, they really, Tiffany, they're a clear picture of disciples today.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They're a clear picture of you. Because you know what's going on in our world. People are really saying this. Jesus isn't enough. Because if they thought Jesus was enough, they never would have said, send him away. They didn't think he was enough. So to those with this awful assumption, he is enough. Yes. Because two things I know about Christ. He's essential and he's sufficient. I say he's essential and he is sufficient. Jesus uses this encounter to increase the faith of his followers, to even let his followers know that he's enough. And let me tell you this, he satisfies us in times of want. He is enough. He guides us in times of confusion. He is enough. Regardless of what you're going through this morning, Jesus is enough. Jesus said to them, Philip, what can we buy bread to feed so many? Philip said, Master. He turned into a trustee. He said, we don't have enough money in the treasury to feed this many. Shame on the church of God who want to keep operating on what they don't have and forget about the God who gave them what they do have. If he did it once, he can sure enough do it again. These disciples, Say to Jesus, I'm rushing now because you ready to eat and we got to go together.
Take your time.
Jesus says, he says to them, he says, what are you going to do? He says, you going to give them some bread.
Yeah.
Philip said, we don't have enough money. And see, that's why you got to watch all that negative talk from people.
Yes, sir.
I'm zeroing myself out on people who always talk negative. Can't say nothing positive, always something negative. Can't say how we can make it work, always talk about how we can't make it work. Well, that's your sin. I don't need you around me. Get away from me. If all you're doing is talking negative, talking about this, talking about that, I don't need you around me because that old negative spirit will transfer. That's why I tell you when we're getting ready to raise seed offerings around the church and getting ready to uplift any offering for that matter, you got to watch who you sit by because that could stop you from giving, and that could stop you from what God got for you. So look, Philip says, don't have enough money. Then old Andrew heard Philip. And old Andrew says, we don't have but a 2-piece fish dinner. He said we got 2 pieces of fish. We got 5 barley loaves. That's all right. I can deal with that. But here's what else he said. He said, but what is this? Among some men. Philip didn't know the God that I know. That if you put a little bit in his hand, he's able to turn it into a lot. I said, he's able to turn your little bit into a lot. I know you bougie now because you can ride up to McDonald's and you can order you a 4 for 4. You can go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. You can do it and you don't have to wait till the first no more. But God has given you a little resource. Some resources called credit card. You just swipe. And then it caused some of you all to get arrogant. But some of you remember when you didn't have nothing. And all you had was just a little bit to make it from day to day. Don't you forget what God had done for you. Don't you forget how God has brought you through in time past. Don't you forget to encourage somebody else and tell them, same God that brought us through back then, he's still able to bring us through right now. I'm trying to hurry to my close today because we got something else that we got to do. But Jesus said to his disciples, you want to talk about that is not enough, but just bring it to me. And I want to tell somebody that having some trouble this morning, you need faith to get through it. And Jesus is simply saying to you, bring your trouble to me. And some of you can't get to your miracle because you keep trying to fight your own battle. Why is it that you're trying to fight your own battle when Jesus says all you got to do is just give it to me? And let me close when I tell you that if you give it to him, he's able to turn the things around. Whatever you, yes, God, whatever you have, he's able to supersize it if you just learn how to trust him. Little become much when you put it in God's hand. Yes, if you put it in God's hand, any witnesses here this morning, you know Jesus can work things out. Oh, yes, he can. Jesus took the bread, yes, he did, and took the fish that the little lad had, and when he got it in his hand, he looked up and told God, thank you. I wish I knew the prayer Jesus prayed. I can just only stand here with a theological assumption to believe Jesus said, God, you heard me before. I need you to hear me again. able to hear you again. Oh, yes, he is. I don't know who you are, but let me tell you, he's able to hear you when you pray. Yes, he is. And every now and then, if you want things to happen in your life, you got to learn how to accept things that are broken up. Oh, yes, it's right in the text. They gave Jesus the bread, and after Jesus prayed, Jesus broke it. And many of you this morning, life has done you just like bread. Life has broken you. I don't want you to give up. I'm trying to get different keys. Oh, yes, my Lord. Life will break you. And if you let life break you, life will get you down. Oh, yes, it will. Jesus broke the bread, and when he broke the bread, he blessed the bread, and he broke the bread. And if you want to be better, you got to learn sometime that you're going to be broken. Oh, yes, you will. You remember the woman that got ready to anoint Jesus' body? She had to break the alabaster box. You can't be used sometime until you're first broken. Oh, yes, my Lord. You remember the disciples brought a man to Jesus and Mark who needed a miracle. There were so many people in the house that they couldn't get in. They went climb on the rooftop and cut a hole in the roof and put the broken man right in the presence of Jesus. And before anything, Jesus looked at the man on the mat and said, your faith is what brought you through. Oh, yes, my Lord. I know I'm talking to you. It may be dark. It may be dreary in your life. Let me tell you, if you're going to make it this morning, you need faith in the Almighty God. Faith run you through any low place. Faith will bring you through any mountains. I want to tell somebody, hang on this morning. Hang on. Just hold on. You got the faith. God sure got the power. I know it's God. But you just keep the faith. God will see you through. Let you down. Don't lean on friends. Friends will let you down. But I got somebody I believe I recommend it to you. I don't want to assume you already know him. I got somebody. Yeah. I got somebody. That every time life knock me down, he pick me back up. Oh, I got somebody that every time I cried, he wiped tears from my eyes. Oh, I got somebody that when people said I wouldn't make it, I got somebody that kept on getting out of a low place. I don't want to assume you know him, but let me call his name. Jesus. Anybody looking on him? That you can excite the church when you call on his name. Jesus, in crisis, he's my comforter. Jesus, in helplessness, he's my helper. Jesus, he's my friend. He's my peace. He's my solution. He's my glory. I'm talking about Jesus. He's my song. He's my faith. He's my victory. He's my light. But when I was lost, he's when I don't care. He became my salvation. serve, you know what that tells me? God is a God of order. And we don't represent him. Whatever you do, you better have some order to it. Thank God for Jesus. I don't know how he did it, but those same doubting disciples that said they didn't have enough for the same one that Jesus used to serve, but they said they didn't even have. That's got to be God. And when everybody ate, everybody was full, and they're sticking out. God ain't up to the guy. They had 12 baskets. And I want to believe there was one basket, but each doubting disciple, God would not just give you enough, but if you got the faith, he'll give you a surplus. If you got faith, you can live in overflow. Tell somebody, I got faith. It might not look good, but I got faith. It might be rough, it might be thin, but I just need the faith. God, I said, God, he gonna see me through. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know who I'm talking to. I want you to hold on. Yes. Oh, yeah. I don't know who you are, but you just hold on. And you just hang on. Joy is on the way. Keep the faith. You ought to encourage yourself. Say, self, it may look down, but I thank him. Whatever you have, you just learn to trust God with it. Don't assess what you see. Because we serve a God who works in the supernatural. He's such a wonder-working God. Matter of fact, if you're going to be saved, take faith to be saved. You weren't there when he hung on that tree. You weren't there when they buried him. You weren't there when he got up. I know I wasn't there. But I believe. I believe. Oh, I've been in some dark spots. I've been in some low places. But I kept believing. And you know, sometimes you can get into a situation where all you have is your faith. And if Satan can take anything, he want to take away your faith. He don't want your car. He don't want your little house. He don't want that. He don't want your wedding ring. He ain't concerned about that. But if he can take anything from a child of God,
Yes.
he want to take away our foundation. And I don't know how you're standing this morning, but I'm standing on the promises of the Almighty God. You know, just like Jesus was developing these disciples' faith, perhaps you're going through some stuff too. And he's doing it just to develop your faith. I look back over some stuff that I've gone through and said, I wonder how I made it. Matter of fact, when I was going through, I thought I wasn't going to make it. But let me tell you one thing about me. I'm a man of faith. I can step in the room with kings and queens. Because I'm one too. I got the faith in Almighty God. And this is cliche cliche, but it's true. If God bring you to something, honey, God is able. I said, God is able. I said, God is able. I said, God is able. If he bring you to something, Trisha, he can bring you through it.
That's right.
So I wanted to encourage you this morning.
Yes.
Don't let nothing take away your faith. Someone today may be in need of a church home. You moved to this city, or you just need to unite with a church. You've been struggling, you've been dealing with that situation. Today is your day.
All right.
Will you come? While the blood run warm in your veins, will you come? You're going to a dark spot.